for, what is statistics, what is it used for, how statistics is going to be related with economics, how is it going to help. Alright, those are the various things in statistical tools, all these things we have discussed. In chapter 2, we have discussed about the first step in statistics analysis, which is called as collection of data. Because of this data, because of these economic data, economic facts only, you will be able to go into the next step, further steps to analyze and present the data. For what you are doing all this, to study a problem and find a solution, find some measures to sort it out, which are called as policies in economical terms. Right? What can be the problems? It can be about population, it can be about gender equality, it can be about employment and unemployment, it can be about poverty. Alright, various things we have discussed. So then we have discussed what we mean by data and then the sources of data. In sources of data we have two types, primary source and secondary source. Data that is collected from the primary source, that is first hand information, you collecting it directly is called as primary data, whereas someone else has already collected and they have published it in their website or in a journal, you using that data for your analysis is called as a secondary data. From secondary source you are collecting it, so you call it secondary data. Alright children, so we have primary data and secondary data. After that we discuss how can we collect data, that is a method of data collection. We saw that survey, you are able to do surveys, questionnaires and you can present it. So I am very happy like one of my children of 11th standard has tried what is survey and how to do it in a technical level using the Google Forms app. Google Forms where he created only one question, okay, and he has got a report. It is done technically. That is, if you give the questionnaire, if people answer it, directly the Google gives you, technology gives you the survey. That is how much have answered, how many students or how many people have answered your question and all those things. So a questionnaire should be created for conducting your survey. Clear children, survey means what? It is a method of data collecting for getting information and changing that information into a data. Right. So we discussed how a poor question will be, how a good question should be. Okay, you should give unambiguous, clear questions. You should give questions that do not lead the answer. That is, you should not provoke them to say the answer that you want them to say. Then we have discussed various modes of data collection. What are the various modes of data collection? We have discussed about the personal interview, mail interview and telephonic interview. We have in detail discussed about their advantages and disadvantages. Then we have discussed what is a pilot survey, a small group of people, the entire population, out of the entire population. A small group will be selected and it will be given as pilot survey. That group will be analyzed. To know what? To know whether your analysis is going in the right way, whether your questionnaire is right, whether people are able to understand it, what are the pros and cons, what can you change in it, all these details will be known how? Through the pilot survey. Alright children, what else we discussed? What are the other things we have discussed? We have discussed about census and sample surveys. Then we have discussed what is meant by population. Population means what? Not the entire population. Here we have discussed population means for your study, for your particular study, which group of people, number of units, number of people that you are going to study, right? You are going to deal with, you are going to take the survey. That particular number is called as your population or universe. Okay, what are the two different terms? Population or universe. What is a sample? Out of the entire population, you take some average number, then it is called as sample. That particular number you have, your population is 200. Okay, out of this 200 you are just going to study about 50 people, means that 50 are called as your what? That 50 are called as your sample. Alright, after that we have discussed about random sampling, methods of sampling. We have discussed about random sampling and non-random sampling. Random sampling means you said 50 is going to be your sample out of the 200. That 50 can be any. Alright, randomly you are option, equal choice for being selected. Whereas in non-random sampling, you fix that this is my sample. These people only will be surveyed by me. So there is no choice. There is a problem of judgment bias. So you decide that, okay, this person might be good for me, so I am choosing that. There is not an equal option for everybody to be selected. Alright, after that we have discussed about sampling errors. Of course, errors will come. What are the various errors we have discussed? Sampling errors and non-sampling errors. Sampling errors means the size you decide as a sample, right? If it goes wrong, the entire data that you collect and the analysis you do will go wrong, is what we have discussed. So how do you come out of it? How do you get rid of that particular sampling error? By choosing a larger sample. What are the non-sampling errors we have discussed? We have discussed about sampling bias. That is when you choose your sample even in random sampling. When you choose someone based on your judgment without knowing their real thing, then it become under judgment. Okay, so sampling bias. It is called as sampling bias. Then non-response errors. Non-response errors means in mailed interview, you send it. Okay, you send your questionnaire, but when they don't respond to you, okay, you expect 100 people to respond to you. When they don't respond, when the 100 are not responding, only 70 people have responded. You have got the maximum, but still, what if this 30 people have a difference of opinion? What if this 30 people's answer will change your study? Of course, these 30 people's answer will change your study. When they don't respond to you, that will become a non-response error. Okay, that is one of the non-sampling errors. Then one more thing is that errors in data acquisition. That is when you are collecting, when you being the interviewer, getting the data, if you hear it wrong or when you understand it some way, we discussed about sensitive questions and all. So when they are through reactions, when you judge their answers, it might go wrong. Okay, after that we have discussed about Census of India and NSS. What is NSS? National Sample Survey. They do their regular surveys on various topics, and what do? They present the data. Okay, that whatever data they have collected and analyzed, they'll present it or issue it in a quarterly journal called Sarveshna. Alright children, when was the previous census of India taken? It was taken in the year 2011. When are we expecting the next census? 2021. This is a gist of chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now we are proceeding into chapter 3, which is called as organization of data. What is chapter number 3 children? Organization of data. That is, you have collected the data. Now how will you need to study the data. For what purpose you are collecting the data? To study and solve out the problem, come out with a policy. But in case you are not able to understand the data that you have collected, then how will you be able to study it? So what do you need to do? You need to organize the data. What is it? You need to classify the data. Okay? Whatever data you get to first hand information or secondary source of data, it is called as raw data. What do you do with the raw data? You need to classify it. Okay, when your mother buys provision, okay, she puts everything together. And as soon as the provision reaches home, you people will sit and classify. This goes into the kitchen. These are cosmetic items. These are like beverages which has to be kept in fridge. Biscuits which has to be kept in the snack corner. You will have places for each one thing, right? Soaps things should go here. Right, food items should go here. Immediately edible items, vegetables things it should go here. That is classification of things. Here also we do classification of data. Why do you classify these things? For placing it in the right place and for easy access towards it. You keep it somewhere else or you keep it in the same box that you have received. It is very difficult for you to look for it. All of a sudden you can't look for it. That is why you need to organize it properly. How do you organize it? Through classification of data. First what do? You will classify the data. What is the purpose of classifying raw data? It is to bring order so that they can be subjected to further statistical tools. So, in organization of data, what do? You further statistical analysis. Alright, in your book they have given you an example of a person called Kabariwala. That is, people who collect junk from you. They'll come to your home, they'll come on the streets where they will collect waste papers, old papers, plastic, glass, everything they will collect. They will put everything in the same bag only. But after they go to where there is a shop, they will classify it so that they will be able to sell it. Now I'll give you a different example. This example you can read and understand. So what is another example I'll give you is like a school. Okay, buys lots of books. It orders and buys lots of books for the library as well as for the school issuing purpose, textbooks for students from the same shop. So what they will do, they will send everything together, all the books they come together. What do they do first? They classify. On what basis do they classify? They'll classify these are the textbooks to be issued to the children, and then they'll classify these are the library books which are used for reference and should go for the library. Again these textbooks will be classified. Further classification will be done. How? Class-wise it will be classified, then subject-wise it can be classified, various things are there. Library books when you take, it's a wide range. Class-wise classification is fine. When you talk about library books, you need to classify that also. How will you classify? Have you visited your school library? How will it be? Subject-wise. Right? English department, Tamil books. Okay, Hindi books. Then you will have books related to economics, related to maths, some other reference books of physics, of chemistry, of biology, all other subjects. General knowledge books will be in one section. Then you will have novels and stories in one section. So all these are there. No, it's very easy for you to, when you reach a library, you go to a library, you want to go for a story book. You know which section it is placed, you just go there and directly take it. Imagine it is not classified like that, it is kept all over. What do you have to do? You have to sit and verify each and every book to what category it belongs to. Right, that is why classification of data is very, very important, because only if you classify the data, classify the raw data, it will be useful for you to subject it to further analysis. Alright, so in your book also they have given you two examples of Kabariwala and of library. I have given you an example of our school situation where we buy lots of books. Even sports items, okay, when we procure things for sports. Okay, as a sports captain you are procuring means what you will do first, you need to segregate it. How will you segregate those? Indoor games, outdoor games. Okay, there will be various kinds of balls and tennis balls. These are used for cricket, these are used for table tennis, these are used for ball badminton. We will define it, we will separate it, we will classify it. Why? For better purpose. Okay, have you seen football will not be used for playing volleyball? Right, the right kind of ball. You cannot play cricket with table tennis ball, and you cannot use a cricket ball for playing table tennis. Everybody has its own purpose. Based on that, it will be classified. Same way only, we need to classify the raw data for involving it in further analysis. Okay, so classification. What is classification of data called? It is the arranging or organizing things into a group or class based on some criteria. We said no when we talked about table tennis or when we talked about sports item, we said that based on indoor outdoor. That is called a criteria. Alright, that is called what? That is called a criteria. Clear children? So what is meant by classification of data? Classification of data means organizing or arranging in an order based on some criteria or criterion. Alright children, this is the meaning of classification of data and the purpose of classification of data. Why do we classify data? For making it in an order, to bring order in the data and to use it for further statistical analysis. For that purpose only we start with classification of data. First what do we do? First we collect the data. After collecting the data we are going to classify it. We are going to make it into a proper order for further use. Alright, now next we are going to discuss what do we mean by raw data. What are we going to discuss? We are going to discuss about raw data. It is called the unclassified data which is highly disorganized. Okay? Whichever is not classified and put into groups, no, that is called as raw data. And how it is? It is highly disorganized. That is, in library when the books are not arranged in a proper order, what happens? Everything is flowing out on everywhere. So you cannot find anything out of it. Even in case if your mom is cleaning the kitchen or you cleaning your study cupboard, you take everything out, changing the paper. At that time, how would it be? Pens, pencils, everything will be together. Books will be mixed up, notes will be mixed up. You will not be able to. Suddenly your father comes and tells that take me a red pen. You will be searching where it is. But in case you have classified it, after classification you have placed blue pen separately, red pen separately, pencil separately. It will be easy for you to take it and give. Alright, that is why we need to classify the data. So what is meant by raw data? It is unclassified data. And how is it? It is highly disorganized. You cannot find anything out of it. It's very difficult to find things out of it. Alright, so what do you do after collecting data? The immediate step. First we discussed about collection of data. Next step is to organize and present them in a classified form. Okay, you have to classify it and you have to present it. So which is the first step in statistics? First step is collection of data, whereas the second step is to organize this data. Okay, collection of data and organize this data for better understanding and further statistical analysis. Now in your book they have given you an example of the marks received by students. Okay, entirely whatever marks you have received. Now the correction is going on for you. Like when you receive marks, what do? We just enter it somewhere. Okay, simply what I am doing, whichever note I have corrected, I have not marked anything. Simply I am entering marks. That only has happened here also. Okay, I have 24 children in my class. So what do? I am going to enter the mark that my children have received in economics. Okay, and I am going to enter it for 50. How am I entering? As I correct, I am going to enter 25, 30, 32. I want to get about 30 marks. So I am going to enter those kind of marks only. Okay? 40, 38, 39, 20, 25, okay, 28, 37, 36, 39, 40, 26, 30, 32, 31, 35, like this I am entering. Okay? I have entered so far how many? 20. So I will enter 24 more marks. 4 more marks I will enter. I have entered 24 marks. Whose mark is which? How will I find have given you just the monthly household expenditure of 50 households they have given. These are raw data, nothing you can identify out of it. What you have to do there you need to classify it. Okay, there are various techniques for classification of data which we will be discussing now. But first what you will do, like this data if you see as an economist, as a statistic person, you will not be able to identify or understand anything out of it. This is very tedious. So if someone comes and asks, ma'am, how much mark I have scored, you ask me, how will I identify which is your mark? Right, so it is very, very difficult for me to take information from an unclassified data. So what is one more problem about raw data? Very difficult to pull information. Very difficult to take some information from the unclassified data. That is why classification of data becomes very, very important. Okay, what do? You summarize the raw data and you will classify it when facts of similar characteristics are placed in the same class. It enables them to locate them easily. Okay, make comparison and draw inferences without any difficulty. Now, how will I represent this data? How will I change it? Okay, how will I make it understand? So what can I do? I can make a column like this. I want to know means I can make like 20 to 26 or 20 to 30 how many students have scored. 31 to 40 how much have scored. 40 to 50 how many students have scored. From this I can calculate. So how can I calculate? I am going to organize it. So from 20 to 30 how many have scored? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 students have scored 20 to 30. Then I choose 31 to 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12, 13. Right. So like this I am going to classify my data. There are various techniques. That's what we are going to explain. Okay. What we are doing first? We are organizing it. We are classifying it on basis of some characteristic. This is a characteristic for me. I am giving a class, right? 20 to 30 is a characteristic for me. Below 20, below 30, below 40, below 50, it is a characteristic for me. This is marks. So we are taking it like this. Everything has a different technique for classification of data. Why we are classifying data? For understanding it, for better understanding. Okay, why do we need to classify it? Why do we need to organize and classify this data? Organize and classification or classify data for what? For drawing better inferences. That is for understanding it better way. So that on what basis you will do? On the basis of some characteristics, you will be able to classify the data. Alright, what else? The raw data of census. Last class we have discussed about census. We discussed that census means each and every individual, each and every household is counted. We cannot leave anybody, we will be taking into account of everybody. So we have seen the population is huge. In that case, the data collected is raw and it comes from everywhere. Census of India, that organization will be in one place, but the data collected is from rural area, urban area, from everywhere. So when people send from Namakkal, if I am sending of my population list, what are the details I will be sending about the name, about the gender, educational qualification, family income. Okay, all these details I will be sending, educational qualification, all these details. So when I send it, for me it will look small, Namakkal that much only. But when the census, the head office gets it, from everywhere, from each part of India, from each nook and corner of India, they will be receiving it. So that itself is a very big raw data. If they present it directly, can you be able to understand it? Will you be able to understand it? No. We will not understand a single thing out of it. So what do? They don't present it as it is. They will fragment it. They will divide it into classes based on various characteristics, and they will present. How they will present? The entire population is this much. Out of this, women are this much percentage, men are this much percentage. These many people are educated, these many people are uneducated, these many people are below 14, below 13, or they are infants, above 60 senior citizens. How many people are there? When people present you like that only, when the census is presented to you like that only, you will be able to use it for further analysis, or you can understand what is what. Clear, children? That is what we are discussing here. So the census of India, not only census of India, even national sample survey, they present their data in Sarveshna, right? They will also what? They will also infer it, they will also classify the data and present the data in an understandable format. Okay, what are these things called, children? Already we have discussed this somewhere. Variables, right? Variables means it changes, varies. Okay, variables will vary, it will change. And what are the various things here? Marks of different people are different. It varies, that is why it is called variable. Okay, raw data consists of various variables. Consists of observation on variables. Here your variable is economics, and then it is called as data. We discussed in the second chapter, right, where we have discussed what is meant by data and what is meant by variables. This is variable because each one varies. This is data. Clear, children? So far what we have discussed? We have discussed what is meant by classification of data. Why do we need to classify data? Then we have studied about raw data. I want you to remember this example. Okay? Because we are going to connect this example with each thing, and we are going to proceed with the next topic, which is called as classification of data. Now we have learned so many things about classification of data. We saw that we cannot study anything or understand clearly from raw data. That is the reason we have to classify data, we said. Right? Because unclassified data is highly disorganized. We are not able to get any information from it. It is a very tedious task to pull information out of it. So what do we do? After collection of data, we need to classify the data and organize it in a presentable form so that it is used for further statistical analysis. Alright, children. So what are we going to do? Classification of data. How are we going to classify data? There are various techniques or various methods in which classification is done. It's of 4 basic classification. First one is called as chronological classification. Okay? Chronological classification. What is meant by chronological, children? It's not a new term to you. We have already discussed about this term. Based on time. What? Based on time. When data is classified based on time, it is called as chronological classification. Okay, based on the census in economics, now you are studying about various data, right? What do we do? So there you have a column means year population, or year employment opportunity, year literacy rate. So we divide 1951 to 61, 1961 to 71. Based on years, based on time it is done. Time will calculate year also, children. Year, month, everything will come under time. When you do it, it is called as chronological classification. Chronological classification means what? It is done basically based on time. Okay, and in such a classification, data will be classified how? It will be classified in ascending or descending order. If you see here, order is there. After 51, 61, you have gone to 61, 71. Then 71, 81. So it will be either in ascending order or descending order. But whereas in the previous example of raw data, everything was mixed up. We did not mix. We did not have a proper classification. Then when I wanted to classify it, what did I do? I made 20 to 30, then 31 to 40. Again, that is also a proper order. Ascending or descending order I can use. Chronological classification will basically be done on the basis of time. It can be years, quarters, weeks, days, months, anything. But based on time series. Alright? Fine. They are giving you a simple example about population. Okay, so if you see, they have given you the years, and based on the years, whatever population was there is presented. Alright, the second kind of classification is called as spatial classification. Okay. What is the second kind of classification of data? Spatial classification of data. It is actually based on the geographical location, or we say place. When we talk about literacy rate, how much literacy rate is there in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, UP, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka? You see, based on their place, right? That is spatial classification. When they talk about rain, okay, how much rain we got? Okay, they will say that this much rain was recorded in this particular city. Based on cities, they will say. Evening in weather report, when you see in Chennai, what do you call it? The humidity was like this. Okay, the rainfall was like this. That will be recorded based on place. That is called as spatial classification. When you talk about earthquakes, it was recorded in this Richter scale. On what basis? On the place. They will say in this particular place the rainfall was recorded in this much. Okay, like that, when you classify your data based on the geographical status or the location or the place, then it is called as spatial classification. It can be anything. It can start from countries and end to villages or streets. In first street of one particular area, so many households are there. 10 households are there. First street, 10 households. Second street, 17 households. Again, it is a location only, right? And that is called as spatial classification. Alright, children. The next kind of classification is called as qualitative classification. Qualitative, as the name says, based on some qualities when you do the classification, then it is called as qualitative classification. For example, when you talk about gender, it's a quality, right? When you take a small survey from your class, right? You are taking in terms of their quality, like helpful. How many students are helpful, how many students are not helpful. So how do you do it? Okay, this person is helpful, this person is not helpful. So based on their quality, their anger level, they are able to dance, they are able to sing, they are able to study very well. And all those things are called as qualities. When you classify your data based on that, then it is called as a qualitative classification. Clear, children? Next, what are we going to do? We are going to discuss about quantitative classification. The final kind of classification of data is quantitative classification based on quantities. Okay, when you measure all those things, then it will be called as quantitative classification. In the example that we have discussed, economics example, when we discussed the marks, I calculated 20 to 30 this many students. Okay, 30 to 40 that many students. That is called as a quantitative classification. Basis on what? On the basis of their marks, how much they have scored. I can calculate it. That is quantitative. But can you do this qualitative classification based on that? No, because you cannot calculate. Men, women, boys, girls, angry or not angry. These are qualities which are not measurable. Okay, the quality is present or absent. That's it. The degree might vary, but still you cannot measure it. But marks you can measure, height you can measure, income you can measure, you can calculate it in numerical terms. That is why it's called as a quantitative classification. So what are the various kinds of classification of data, or how can you classify data? On the basis of four different things. When you classify your data on the basis of time, it is called as chronological classification. What is it called, children? Chronological classification. That is the data is classified on the basis of time. Let it be years, quarters, half yearlies, all these things, weeks, months, then they are called as chronological classification. Chronological order we say, right? Then spatial classification on the basis of area. Remember, space, area, geographical location. So their places, various things regarding places on the basis of their place. When you discuss, then it is called as spatial classification. You will discuss, right, on the Indian map. You would have studied about like alluvial soil, means which are the areas that has alluvial soil. Those are all called as spatial classification based on their places you have discussed. Qualitative classification based on some qualities which cannot be measured. Alright, then quantitative classification, quantities which can be measured, which do not come under the other three categories, will fall under quantitative classification. Basically, first we will try to classify in these two, chronological and spatial. After that, whichever does not fall under this, you will go for qualitative and quantitative. Because when you talk about the classification of educated and uneducated people, you cannot put it in chronological or spatial. So only you take it to the next kind, which is called as qualitative. Same way when you talk about the heights of the student in a particular classroom, you cannot put it in chronological or you cannot put it in spatial. So you take it to the next kind, quantitative classification. One more example I will tell you. You have to answer this. I am going to ask you in your worksheet also. Okay. Your height you are measuring. Every year you are measuring your height and you are marking it. Okay. When I was 3 years old, my height was this. When I am 4 years old, my height was this. When I was 5 years old, my height was this. Like that. Every year you are measuring your height and marking it. What is that kind of classification called? We have discussed the classification of data, right? So your height in various time frames, which kind of classification will you use? You are going to answer this. Okay? Think and answer. It's a very, very simple question. What is the next thing that we are going to discuss? We are going to discuss about variables. We said that variables means it varies, and based on each variable we will find the data. Now when we talk about variables, there are actually two kinds of variables. One is called as continuous variables, and another one is called as discrete variables. What are those? We talk about variables. These are of two kinds. One is continuous, another one is discrete. Continuous variable can be like anything. It can take any numerical value. Any numerical value means it can be in decimal, it can be in fraction, it can be in integers, minus value. Okay, it can take any numerical value. Right? What is the example given when you talk about the height? particular student. It's not that example, don't remember the question that I have given you children. So it can be 150 or 155 or 150.1. Right, so you can even go in decimals. When in the same class weight of children are measured, it can be 19, 19.2, 19.3, 19.9, 20. Within 19 and 20 even you can place 10 children or 12 children based on the decimals. Okay, that kind of variables are called as continuous variables. Okay, whereas what are the examples of continuous variables? Weight, time, distance, etc. Time, when someone asks, you can either say 12:20 or you can say 12:22, 12:21, 12:23, 12:24. Right, when you are in the running race and all, they'll use that lap, they'll use the stopwatch. 55 seconds, 54 seconds, just in 1 second and all you might miss the championship. How? It is a continuous variable. Even the integers are taken into account, even fractions are taken into account, even decimal values are taken into account. That is, any numerical value can be a continuous variable. What are the examples when you talk about weight, height, time, distance, okay, and so on. And then when we talk about discrete variable, it can take only certain values. It's not any values. Those are only certain values, and these from one value to another value is there, right? It's called as a jump. What kind of jumps they have? Only finite jumps. That is, exact number will be there. It is not the whole number, fraction, that and all cannot be used. Okay? When you talk about number of students in a class, or when you talk about population in a country, you cannot say that 250 to 1/4 people. What is that 1/4 people? Or can you say in points? You can't say like that. Average income you can calculate of a household. 4 people are there in a family. Their average income is 25,202 rupees. 0.20 paise you can say. Alright. But can you say that how many people live in the home? 4. You cannot say 4 and half, 3 and half. Can you say like that? No. Either if you want to say, you say 3 adults and 1 child lives in the home. Okay, when you count number of people, you cannot say number of family members, students in a class, you cannot use a thing called what? A continuous variable. There you have to go for a discrete variable. Age, when people ask, you say your age is 17 or 16 or 15. Mostly we'll say like that only. There is one more thing we should not have the impression that a discrete variable cannot take any fractional value. It can at times take fractional values. What kind of fractional values? X is a variable that takes value like 1/8, 1/16, 1/32 like that. In a fraction it goes. Is it a discrete variable? Yes, because though x takes fractional value, it cannot take any value between two adjacent values. For example, when you say 1/8, 1/16, 1/32, what are all these? Squares of it. Okay, 8 into 2 multiplied by 2 values are there. Right. These are also called as discrete variables. They are fractions, but they are discrete variables. Why? Because you cannot take 1/9 in this order. Why? It's all multiplies of 2. Multiple of 2. 9 is not a multiple of 2. Like this cases, you can say that even fractional values can be discrete variables. Alright children, so what are the various things that we have discussed you today? We have discussed what is meant by classification of data. It is the second step. Okay? After we collect the data, we need to organize it. That is, we need to classify raw data for the purpose of involving or using it for further statistical analysis. Right? We have discussed what is raw data, and then we have discussed various things about classification of data. What are basically 4 types of classification of data? On what basis you classify them? On time. that is called as chronological classification. Then on the basis of place, which is called as the spatial classification. Then on the basis of quantities, quantitative classification. On the basis of qualities, which is called as a qualitative classification. These are the various classification of data. After that, we have discussed about variables. We have two kinds of variables, continuous and discrete variables. Continuous variables means can be any numerical value, it can be integers, it can be fractions, it can be decimal values. Alright, when you talk about discrete variables, there are certain values, they have only finite jumps. So in this example when we discuss, those are multiples of 2. So finite jumps can be used if it is in a fraction thing. Alright children, so far we have discussed 4 important topics about classification, organization of data, and in the next class we will be discussing the further details about it. Don't forget the example that I have given you, the question that I have asked you. What is the question? When you are going to measure your height and mention like how it has increased or decreased, you are going to measure that. Let it be height or width. Increase or decrease. On what basis you classify this data is my question. I am going to put it in your worksheet also. So I want you to answer it properly. Think very well